Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conquer the Clutter podcast for October 30th. Today, we're going to continue the theme of in what ways can we discover that we in some way lessen our success by the term self-sabotage is a big one. Even little ways of just lessening the positive effect of our efforts that leads to feelings that we're not making progress or we're not making adequate progress. And then that creates an ongoing slow leak that does qualify as a form of self-sabotage. So we've talked about other ways before, but now we're going to talk about minimizing. And this is a big one because how many people here find themselves when they are having some success, minimizing their success, particularly when you're discussing, how the week went, what you did, what the challenges were, what successes were. How many people here find that they do minimize? All right. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of hands up. So we do this by either trying to make ourselves seem less impressive, and why would we do that? We do that generally, and watch this inclination. All right. We do that so that we lessen what we perceive as being obnoxious or bragging or in some way intimidating, even in a tiny way, to others. And why would we do that? Because the more we perceive ourselves as setting ourselves apart from others, bragging, exaggerating, whatever it is, all right, or just even claiming the end result of hard work, the more we perceive that we are protecting ourselves from being disliked or set apart, so that somehow we're claiming the space instead of just being average. Average is safe. Right. So, and we can do this by not discussing any progress or success we've made, or by lessening the benefit of whatever success we've had. And that then keeps us in the safe zone. All right. So if this is happening, that you are not open, you're not comfortable claiming your success, owning it, particularly if somebody asks, that you tell them the unfiltered truth about, I really rocked this week and I did this and I am really happy and it's been really difficult, but I did it. This happens because that behavior is called minimizing. All right. So we can also protect ourselves against ourselves. And we can do that by lessening the fear that we're reaching our best. Some people, when they have a perception, a feeling, or an idea that they are reaching their best, they're afraid for two reasons. First of all, that they will lose that success. That it'll be fleeting. They don't really own it. They're not really capable. It was some sort of mysterious confluence of good luck and effort, and it's not really theirs. All right. Another way that people can be tempted to minimize is because Once you've achieved the goal, what's next? The fear that the next only acceptable thing is a greater success. And if you don't feel competent, if you don't feel that that's something within your wheelhouse, of course you're going to be tempted to minimize what you just achieved, even to yourself. All right. So if we acknowledge that we've actually arrived at the successful point of whatever goal, the next question is there anybody here doesn't ask themselves this? Because I think we all ask ourselves this. Okay, now what? Okay, now what? All right. And when we're around other people, we don't look for validation. We don't look for affirmation. Why? Because is there anybody here who hasn't been taught that pride comes just before the fall? Okay, that expression is a very common perception. So I don't want to get too psychobabblish here, but I do want you to look at, to whatever degree you might be doing this and in what circumstances. Because given the challenges that we all have, given the fact that it takes an awful lot to make a success and hold on to it, all right, we deserve to kind of bask in the sunlight of it, the warmth of it, that, you know what? What does that say about me? What does that say about me? It says I did it. I did it. I don't have to be afraid that I can't do it again. I don't have to be afraid that it will disappear. And I don't have to be afraid in sharing if it seems appropriate to do so. It's not bragging. Don't you hate that term? It's not bragging to own what you've actually accomplished. And it doesn't have to be world peace to be equal to celebrating it yourself and with others. All right. Because if you are someone who, when you acknowledge, even to yourself, certainly to others, and look at the clutter, I'm doing this for a reason. Look at the piles. This isn't sort of vague babble, okay? How many people here, when they tell someone about a success, feel uncomfortable? How many people question? I see a lot of nods. How many people here, when they think about discussing it, have to really go through a thought process about, is that a good thing to do? Should I? How's that going to be received? Hmm? If you do any of those things, ask yourself, why wouldn't I tell the truth? Plain and simply, whatever small, large, medium accomplishment you have achieved, you own. It's yours. You don't have to do something bigger and better. You don't even have to be able to do that same thing the next day. You own it. You did it. All right. So wrap yourself in it and celebrate. And if there are people you know and trust, share it. There's nothing like hearing what you believe to be true validated by somebody else in a simple phrase of, good for you. All right, good for you. So rather than shrugging off the compliment you might get by saying something about an achievement, just say thank you. That's easy. Now let's practice that all together. Thank you. What does it feel like? Thank you. All right. Okay. See, that wasn't hard, right? So it's hard, very hard. All right. And you can even share how hard it was with the person. And you know what? I'm glad it's finished. I'm happy I accomplished it, but I don't like doing it any more than I did before, and I'm glad it's finished, or I'm glad I put a dent in it. Okay. And accept that when one part of our life, whatever part that is, all right, improves. Now listen to this, because this is true. When any part of our life improves, especially through our efforts, it affects everything else. But you're putting a cover over the light, your light, when you don't own that accomplishment, when you don't even well and truly acknowledge it to yourself. You're lessening the power of the transferable use, the transferable benefit. So let's have a look at that. Can somebody here give me an idea of something that they did that had a beneficial effect, and what that thing, how that thing that they did benefited another part of their life, another part of their day? Anybody? I still have 2 questions in the chat box. Is there anybody out there who, and it doesn't have to be a big accomplishment. Okay, Kim, do you want to unmute?
I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Yep. I'm starting to donate family pieces that should go in a local museum. And my mom is not happy about that, but they weren't hers. They were passed down to me. And it's been very hard for me to do that while she's still alive because I know she disagreed with it. But I don't feel like I should just have these things in my home anymore for just my daughter and, myself to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to do it. I'm to the point where I'm strong enough where I feel like I can do whatever I want. I'm 52 now, but it's taken me a long time to just push back on all of that stuff and say, this is my life. This is my home. I'm going to do what I want. And people are really excited that I'm donating some of this stuff. So I also work at that museum and I volunteer there.
Okay.
And it's going to be on a traveling exhibit so they can bring it to schools and other places. So the stuff that's in the exhibit all the time can't be taken out without an act of God.
Yeah.
But I'm going to donate some of my stuff so that it can travel. So I'm very excited, and it's easier to let go when, we know it's going to a good place. And I struggle with that one a lot. But
that the place is the right end goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have struggled with that since day one. It's better now. I can just drop stuff off at the rescue mission, but there are times where certain items, I have to make sure it goes to the right place. But I feel very good about this latest pile of stuff that's going to leave.
Can you share? Are you comfortable sharing what kind of family memento or? Yeah.
I belong to, I'm a descendant of the United Community in upstate New York. There's a large mansion there. It was a commune in the late 1800s. And I have a braiding that was made by a lady, and there's a whole collection of her braidings there. I have one of them that my aunt, who was an antique dealer, found for me. So I've had it in my house for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
That is going with the collection that's there at the museum. And I also have a huge silk cabinet, which is a wooden cabinet stamped with all of the stuff from the history of the silk that they used to sell back in the 1800s. That was one of the items that they used to sell, but it's Oneida Limited, if anybody's heard of that. If you're in the United States, we made flatware and we're very famous for flatware. That's
Yeah.
my crazy family. So
Oh, wow. Oh,
yep,
wow. That's a
that's
biggie.
yeah. So,
A
my
biggie.
mom, she also has hoarding disorder. So she has that. I have to keep this.
Yeah.
Anything that's relatively important, it's mine, and we
Mhm.
feel like that. But I can't keep everything under the sun from everybody in my family, and everybody moved away, and I got stuck with all the stuff.
Okay.
I got stuck with everything, and I can't keep it all. And like I donated a painting, a huge painting. I just gave it to the donation center, and I said I can't really throw it away because I just would feel too bad about that. So I donated it, and I said I'm going to leave it up to the universe to find a new home for it and let it
Yeah.
go.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, the other thing too, you know what? None of us is invincible. And at some point, that stuff is all going to be sitting there and it's going to go somewhere. And maybe depending on the circumstances of that event happening, is not going to go where you wish it would have gone. Um,
That's
so things,
that's my biggest fear, is that some of
things
the
that
stuff
time,
that
they
has
won't
historical
understand what
value.
it is. They won't
Yeah.
understand what it is. Or there'll be so much of it, it'll be like, just get it out. I've seen that happen. So, there is a time for everything. And when you've had your fill of the enjoyment and the meaning and the relationship, it's okay to pass it on so that it can have its true worth with another group or person who loves it as much as the person who created it. For sure. For
And
sure.
I've done that with baskets for the Oneida Indian Nation. Oneida Native Americans live near us, and I got a ton of baskets that my grandmother had. And all of those went to the museum as well.
Mhm.
And I didn't ask for any money. I feel like it belongs there.
Yeah,
It
for
doesn't
sure.
belong in my heap of stuff.
Yeah.
Put it in the museum where other people can enjoy it.
People who really are into those elements of culture as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. The good we do lives on. It is, whether it's maintaining history through artifacts or whether it's, you know, having an experience with two little babies who didn't have the right to oxygen, right? The good we do lives on. Good.
It
Good for
sure
you.
does.
Thank you for joining in,
Thank you.
offering that. Okay, now, have you noticed though that when you do that, face that challenge and you accomplish it, you achieve it, that other areas of your life also improve?
I think as I've worked through all this stuff, everything's gotten better. So I did like EMDR therapy for my trauma. I started going to art class with a bunch of little ladies in my town at the library. I'm painting again. I cleared out my porch to make a spot for my painting, and it was so much easier to let go of all that stuff because I'm healing the stuff under the stuff.
Mhm.
And it's taken a long time. And there was like a year or two where I didn't do anything. I didn't declutter anything. I kept bringing stuff in while I went to the classes, while I listened to the experts. And then there came a point where I stopped bringing so much stuff in. I started working on myself and my soul and my heart and my nervous system. And then I was able to start letting go. And it was hard. Wasn't
Mhm.
easy
Yeah,
because
no
that was
problem.
my protection. I had an interview the other day with somebody and I said, literally, I piled this stuff around me to keep me safe and to keep people away from me because I no longer trusted people. And that is exactly what I did. And I see people nodding. So, I know there's people in my group that have expressed the same thing. And a lot of us have trauma. See, look at me, like as I talk about it, I have to go like this because it is, something that's deep in my heart. And I know where you're all coming from. Well, some of you, because I've talked to you. But that trauma, my brain chose to protect myself with the stuff.
Well, it's what it had available with the,
Yeah.
you had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, and if you think about, days of old, they weren't breaking down the moat. All right. They were building the moat.
Yep.
And they were building it in a way that was adequate. The other thing too that occurs to me when you mention about clearing out your porch, for instance, so that you can get back to such a creative, kind of integrative experience of painting. When I paint or draw anything, I have to label it. That's just not one of my talents. And is you're making room for your own life, not the life you were meant to have, all right, with the skills and the ambitions and the desires you have, not cushioning yourself with the artifacts of someone else's life,
Yes.
which still served a purpose, all right, in the time. Everything in its time, right? Okay, so there's a real wisdom there in listening to one of next week we're going to be talking about, and this is I want to give Brianna West from You Are the Mountain, or The Mountain Is You rather. I want to give her credit. I have morphed the material to fit with our topic, but it does have transferable application. All right, that we keep our symptoms are a replacement for our needs. When we don't meet our needs, we create things like symptoms or clutter, all right, and they are a replacement for what we need. All right, here's a really important thing to remember though. A replacement will never meet the need. That's why it's called a replacement. And still, if it buys time and makes you feel safe, so long as you are not creating a health or safety hazard for yourself or someone else, if it buys you some time to feel cushioned, to feel protected, to feel whatever it is you need to feel while you sort out what are your needs, all right, and what is the best way with what you have available to you right now to start meeting those needs, like Kim's talking about clearing out the porch, all right, but then you do need to do the work of filling the need, right? Because that is something that is, like Kim says, it's part of your heart, it's part of who you are, right? So never accept substitutes as a permanent or a long-term solution for what you really need. It's sort of just, it's like being on the platform waiting for the train. You need the train.
I literally have a sign hung up in a couple places in my house that say, thank you to the stuff for protecting me when I needed it, but I no not longer need you. What can I donate today to help somebody else in need? And it's, I love it because it gives me a little grace. It gives
Yeah.
me a little, pass for doing what I did at that time versus shaming myself.
Mhm.
And it's also, a reminder that I don't need it anymore. Let's give it to somebody else who can use it.
And that not needing it, there's an important thing to look for us to look at. When you say I don't need it, that's not a negative throwaway thing. That's not what I don't need it anymore really means. What it means is it has served its purpose for me, and someone else needs. It is the need. It is not their symptom. It is their need. All right. And I will pass on what has served me to someone else so they can have their need met or part of it. All right. Okay. So I just want to catch up here. So let's talk a little bit about unhealthy habits. All right. So people will sabotage their own success by maintaining habits. Now, I want you to get out your pen and paper, and I want you to write down any habit that comes to mind that you know is a negative habit. All right. I don't want you to blame yourself. I don't want you to judge or chastise yourself. Just write it down. All right. And then ask yourself, what are you protecting yourself from with that habit, that unhealthy habit? Because there is going to come a time when the light will dawn or start to dawn. Don't turn the light off. Let the light grow. Let that awareness and acceptance grow. All right. Because if you don't, you're just maintaining the habit that you are outgrowing. And when we actively keep them, hold on to them, repeat and habituate them, we're actually depriving ourselves of the very goal we're seeking. We're actually depriving ourselves because everything we have, whether it's just a thought or a thing, occupies time and space. And time and space is finite. So you can hold on to a habit long past its need, your need for it, by habituating it, making it the place you first go to. Don't let that happen. Be aware if you have bad habits, understand that they may serve a purpose for a brief period of time. But be careful. Remember, we've talked about the way the brain works, that your brain is really just a high-end computer that is seeking your most common familiar response. Your brain trusts you to have chosen that bad habit 9 times out of 10 because it was a good choice. Your brain can't
Right.
decide. Your brain can
Dr.
you.
said
Oh, good. Thank you. All right. Your brain can't choose for you. It goes in search of, oh, in this situation, this type of situation, this is what he or she chose 9 times out of 10. So this must be what they're looking for. That's habituation. That's why if you know that there are negative habits, unhealthy habits, keep them foremost in your awareness, even if you are repeating them, even if you are still using them, name them. Tell yourself, what am I getting from this? Be sure you're getting something because they can persist long after you don't need them anymore. They're not giving you anything by habituating them. Okay. All right. When you are aware and you name them, all right, what I want you to do is to try to figure out this one time, what would an alternative be? Break up the habit. So now it's as you continue to do that, even though that unhealthy habit is powerful, now what you're doing is you're pulling some of the power out of it. You're not changing it entirely. Baby steps, it's okay. So whether this is clutter, whether this is 15 minutes a day, instead of 15 minutes a day, you do 5 minutes a day. Whatever that adaptation is, all right? Because now you've just changed a habit into a choice. And the person with the most choices available to them, the awareness that they have choice and the most choices they have available to them and they keep available to them, they are the people who will endure. They are the people who will succeed. So if you've got an unhealthy habit, when you are aware, in that moment of awareness, ask yourself, is today the day that I could try an alternative choice? An alternative option. What would that be? Even if it's only a half-baked idea, try it. Because every time you break up that habit, you change it from a habit, a habituated habit, into a choice. And the more choices you give yourself for the things that hold you back, alternatives, the more you increase your likelihood of long-term success. Because looking for alternatives when something is negative, all right, that is a wonderful skill to develop. And you deserve to have that option. All right. Okay. All right. So where are we now? At the core, the center part of all of these behaviors, choices, habits, is the fact that one part of our mind, all right, understands something. It understands that we should and we are built to evolve. We know that essentially in us, all right, we are built to evolve and change. Tomorrow, the day after that will not be the same as today. Next year, we'll not look back the last 4 years. Is today the same? Big changes. Change is the inevitable. That's why in our psyche, our system, all right, it understands, I got to get this person with more choices than this one thing, than this thing that's holding them back. I've got to get them ready because if they're going to survive, they need to evolve. All right, that's my job. And in evolving, which would you rather do? Be losing ground or moving forward, even baby steps in your life? Right now, I want you to stop, and I want to stop talking for a second or two. And I want you to write down 3 baby steps that you know would be in your best interests. And they would, they may not solve the whole problem, but they will give you more experience at something. All right. They'll give you more experience. They will serve you in some tiny way. 3 baby steps. That will move you forward in some small way. And when you have a challenge, you've just done that now because I prompted you to do it. Now you know you can do it, right? The next time you have something whirling around in your head and you're thinking, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, stop. You have it within you. Stop. You're always allowed a little time to figure it out. Always, always, always. And if you're with anybody or any situation that doesn't allow that, they're wrong, you're right. All right? There'll always be another bus. Every time you get that feeling of, no, I want you to stop, take 3 seconds, and write down 3 other options you have. They may be variations on a theme. That's okay. Because the more you do that, the more you increase your likelihood of success. And the reason I'm really encouraging you to do that, like this week, and I want people to come next week with an experience of having done this. Don't just listen to me babble on. All right. I want you to do these exercises because there's another part of us. All right. That negative bias part of us that is also part of survival, but it's a place that we go to way too quickly, way too quickly. All right. And that's the part of us that is for safety's sake, for survival's sake, puts us in a state of being unsure. And along with unsure, there's just that sometimes a little taste of fear. Fear of something. And we know with procrastination, the 3 biggies: fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being controlled. But there are other fears too. Okay. Give yourself 3 other options. They don't have to be anything extraordinary, but that exercise will put you on a positive journey rather than have you stall out unsure and afraid. All right. Okay. So 3 other options. And the way I do this all the time. The way I do it, because sometimes, you're just not in the mood to kind of be creative. So I will set a little time aside that day. If something's really bugging me, all right, particularly if it's a repeat bugging me, I will set a little time aside, quiet time, all right, sort of sign on the door, do not disturb. And I will do a little exercise that I was taught years and years and years ago. And that is from the most ridiculous, all right, to the easiest, why didn't I think of that? Or I've already done it. I go from the most ridiculous to extreme option right down to the mundane. And then I take my finger and I go, where am I now on this continuum? And I choose the spot I'm at as far as the kind of choice. All right. And then I ask myself, what would it cost me? What would be the downside of going one step up and trying that? So I'm not going through an exercise where I'm trying to come up with the solution for world peace in my life. All right. I'm just saying, okay, I'm not sure. I'm not happy with the success I'm having. I don't like it. All right. And so I don't want to stay here in this state of mind. All right. And so what would be the most ridiculous thing? Well, I could sign up for a degree at Harvard at my age. Yeah, sure, if I could get in. Or, go back to bed and pull the covers up. Okay. So where am I now? Put your finger on it. Make it spatial. Give yourself a multi-tactile sense of it. Where are you? Okay. And what would it cost me? And what would be the insurmountable negative effect of going one step up and trying it? And if that's not so bad, all right, and I get my balance a little bit, I kind of get my bearings, what would be the benefit of trying the next step up? And you give yourself a reasonable time frame here to get your balance, get your bearings, get used to it, and know that no, you may not have the whole solution, but you are on a path of testing out what is the next positive advance that I might be able to make here. And what would it take for me to get my balance there? What would it cost me? And what would it give me? Surely it's going to give me more than where I am right now, right? I mean, that's obvious, right? It may not be enough. I may need to go up one or two more steps. But I'm not jumping off the deep end into the unknown. And the other thing I ask myself, and I've learned a long time ago, and that is, and it was certainly reinforced in Uganda, all right, trying to trek gorillas. If I don't know the answer, who do I know who does? And a good example of that was this, and I've got no other motive for bringing this in as the example, but this week getting the email from Bwindi Hospital if there's anything it could do about vein finders for the babies, because we're turning them into pin cushions and we're not getting to the veins. And who knew that there were different levels of veins? I didn't even know that. I thought vein finder, roll the arm over and look for a blue spot. Apparently, it's more complicated than that. The things we learned. And so I thought, vein finders, I don't even know what a vein finder is. All right. So when I was with people, I just said, anybody know what a vein finder is? Like, is it a big thing? Is it a little thing? Like, what is a vein finder? And I got no idea what a vein finder is. So they said, why do you want to know? So what it did was it opened up a discussion. I had no intention with that discussion. All right. I said, well, I got this email and, you know, if it's not sort of like moving a huge building or something, I don't know, might be possible. I don't know. And we did a little Google search and found that a vein finder is not a big thing in and of itself. It's probably about that big. All right. Has to be on a trolley though, so that you have two hands now to work it. Okay. Complication. I don't know. I'm getting facts here. All right. I'm going up that ladder at some pace. And then I said, okay, mm, and I then had, before I knew it, all right, privately, I had 3 or 4 emails from the people I was with at the time who are going to make small donations toward it. I didn't even have to ask. All right. Like testing other alternatives by asking, humble yourself, ask. All right. Even if you have no intention, sometimes it leads to good things. Because know this, the answer to what you're looking for is out there. You don't know what the answer is yet, but somebody does. Chances are the people around you or 1 degree of separation. can give you the answers you want. I thought, my next question, all right, and this isn't about vein finders. This is about having a challenge. All right, forget vein finders. I don't want anybody feeling uncomfortable about this. So I had a challenge. I didn't like to just say no for no reason. All right. And then when I knew what vein finders was, I thought, I don't know anything about, where do you even start? The next question I always ask myself, it took me a little while on this one, a day or two, was who do you know? If you don't know it, who do you know? Who do you know? At your age, you know a lot of people, Elaine. Who do you know? And if you don't know, who knows somebody who knows? All right. So I thought of Danny Yang. Danny did really well by us for the CPAP machines. I thought, that's medical equipment. Not sure I'd like to go back to China because of the shipping costs, but okay. But Danny will know. Danny knew Jason. And you know what worked out really well? Knowing Danny sometime in the negotiation where the trolleys got thrown in for nothing, $150 a piece, right? Times 4. Okay. All I had to do was, and I didn't mean it as a manipulation. I promise I didn't mean it as a manipulation. I said, oh, can you help with a better price? No, that is my best price. I said, oh, Danny and I worked for 6 months on 2 CPAP units for the same babies, I said, and he was able to help that way. The next email was, we'll throw them in for free. Because Jason, I have to edit this, okay? Jason knows Danny. Jason wants Danny to send anybody to him. So Jason, being part of that relationship, even though they don't work in the same factory at all, Jason doesn't want to look bad with Danny, right? And so I didn't mean it that way. I just meant, well, sort of I did. I hoped it would work. That's a lie. So going up the next step, asking yourself, all right, what would be the worst if I tried something else? And sometimes just that effort brings in the good in this world. All right. And I didn't intend for anybody I was talking to. All right. Because I promised the last time, no, I'm not doing donations. Somehow I'll manage this. All right. This is my idea. Somehow I'll manage it. 4 people sent me an email privately saying, you know, I'd like to get behind that. No intention of that at all. No expectation. So sometimes when we dare to try that next option, we enter into an environment that has a challenge because it's one step up, but it has an environment of its own with positives that you then become a candidate for. All right. It's not all negative. You're opening up new possibilities. Give yourself the chance. Don't stay stuck. One step up. One step up. Okay. I want feedback next week in the chat about who dared to try that and what happened. What were the negatives? What were the positives? Okay. Okay. So, and the one thing it will do, trying one thing up, is it will eliminate a lot of frustration. And it will help to eliminate that feeling of being stuck. All right. So let me go down to the chat and let's just see what we have here. All right. So the thought of holding on to success is the scary part. Okay. Try not to personalize it. You are not a success. You had success. All right. And if we need to prove that to ourselves, if you are still standing and with the challenges in your life, you've dealt with those and you're still standing, even if you're feeling a little bit whipped, all right, you're a success already. You are a success already. So stop with the I'm not good enough, all right? I don't measure up. Yeah, you do. If you're still standing, you are. However, in an exchange, in an activity, you can be a success, you can have success at one thing and not with the next. So it's really not about our identity. All right. It's not about we're a success. It's about we're good enough to start with right from out of the gate. And on this activity, I had success. I had success by the measure I use. There'll be another challenge over here. I don't need to worry about losing my success and not being a success here. All I need to do is say to myself, what don't I know that I need to know? Or if I don't know it, who do I know who does know it or is good at it or can give me good information to work on? Don't personalize it. All right? And you've got nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid. This other challenge, you will do well or not well. But if you keep trying when you're not doing well, you just keep trying. You're not going to beat me, is the motto. You are not going to beat me. I'm going to beat you. And it's not a person, it's a thing. What do I need to know? And who do I know who can give me good information to save me bumping my head 100 times as I try this? I'm going to get good information. That's what this podcast is. Who do I know who can give me good information? Are they perfect? No, they're not. But they bring information for me to consider. Does a piece of that fit here? So I arm myself better to climb that wall. All right. I always think the image I have whenever I'm approaching something that is challenging is climbing a rock wall. All right. And I ask myself, where is the safe footing? Where's the safe toehold? Okay, I'm there. Okay, I'm safe. Okay, it's stable. I'm good. Where's the next handhold? So that I can help myself up to find the next toehold. All right, it's like climbing a rock wall. And the people you know and good information and your own efforts, those are the footholds and the toeholds and the handholds. Okay? Give yourself an image. Give yourself an image. And where are you now? I'm halfway up the face. I'm halfway up the face of that wall. Okay. So, let me have a look here. We're down here. It's better to be involved in the process while you're alive than hope, yeah, that someone puts it where you want it when you're gone. That is true, Christine. However, the other thing too is that in that process, though, a lot of stuff comes into our environment. All right. There are a lot of options for that. And so a good question to ask ourselves is, how do you serve my life today? Everything we have, how do you serve and support my life today? And if I hold on to you, who am I? Who else could be using you and benefiting from you because they need this thing or something like it? And if you're a hanger on, an extra, whatever, keeping it just in case, it may be somebody else's need. All right. Let me see here. I too have artwork that I was told. I too was told I have artwork that I was told to trash. Who told you that, Michael? Who told you to trash artwork? Depending on the type of artwork, if you don't want it, somebody else will. All right. Okay. And who are these people?
My rabbi.
Your rabbi? Well, apparently your rabbi isn't an art aficionado. Nobody's an expert at everything just because they have authority. All right. So if you still have it, call around and find, and it isn't something that you cherish. All right. Call around and find out who would be open to it. This, I give you an example. Things are good, or things are useful or not useful according to the time. So this year, I decided I'm going to thin out my Birchall Consulting equipment shed. And I looked and I thought, what do you need? And I thought, okay, you're not going up any ladders. You're past ladder climbing, Elaine. Okay, so, but maybe one of the crew. So I had two people and I said, I am interested in thinning out my ladders. I have four foldable workbenches that were meant to be corners for something to lay out, to always be able to have a sorting area. And it's funny, things have changed and that is not as required now. So I'm interested in rehousing two of them. I'm interested in, and as I got going, all right, one or two of the dollies that I had. And as I got going, I started to notice that there was a Napoleon barbecue, a big one behind the shed that they had housed there last winter. And I had a little barbecue. And I said, I'm interested in rehoming the barbecue. I'm interested in rehoming the little barbecue. I ended up rehoming a lot of stuff. And I now have what I need, which is more space in the shed, in the Birchall Consulting equipment shed. So sometimes that activity leads to you noticing what I call the hangers on. Yes, a big Napoleon barbecue is a great thing. We're not barbecuing. We haven't barbecued for the last period of time. Am I interested in starting? How applicable is it? Am I interested in starting to barbecue? Not at all. All right, I will order out. And the little barbecue? Probably not. So take a chance, let it go. Right? Because we change. We change. Now, a good size air fryer, yeah. So when I let those things go, I thought, so if you're not a barbecuer and you're not a this and you're not a that, what are you? And I thought, you need something that's quick. All right. You need something that's quick. And something that probably doesn't require a lot of cleaning or maintenance. And so I did a little research and I came up with a Cuisinart air fryer that is a convection oven and also does broiling and steaming. And now I'm thinking, I have my one little place in heaven and I don't have to dirty anything else. This is a bonus. Who are you today compared to who you were back then? And which of you is holding on to the stuff? The you today, or the fact that you're not aware that you have transitioned, all right, and you're not who you were before? And the value of 2 extension ladders, pretty significant. All right, pretty significant value. What do you want to do? Hold on to them? Just like somehow the money you spent on those years ago is going to go back in the bank account? No, it's not. You want to find a buyer and then you have to dicker about the price? Do you want to spend that time? No, I don't. All right. Others might. No, I don't. I would rather do without whatever that value is and have less than put my effort into selling 2 large extension ladders. No, that's who I am. Other people here may think, oh, no, don't do that. Well, then do it your way, but do it. But do it. Okay, so papers and pen. What is one thing this week that has been hanging on that you want to, at least at a minimum, start putting a dent in? What is one thing? Now open up your Google Calendar or your agenda and pick a day this week when you're going to start putting a dent in that. And block off 1 hour. Block off 1 hour and title it whatever that thing is. You don't have to accomplish it. You just have to start. Good? Okay, everyone. I will see you next week. Take care, and I hope it's a good one.
Can you do it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.